eventually got set up. I think it was like early 2017. So you've just celebrated.
So we've just celebrated. We kind
business.
of got, as I said, we got the Wi-Fi working around the start of March.
Yeah.
And our
I know there is a funny story that you started off beside the window.
Oh, for a long period of time. Yes, our good friends in the Imperial across the road
were innovation, starting up a business.
We're providing the internet.
So, like, how's the first year of business been?
It's been the first year of business has been it's been really exciting, right? Because the great thing about a physical building like this is that, you know, you've got a front of house operation, a back of house operation. Every day is different.
Yeah.
You know,
that's built again by the team you have around you.
Insanely good team. I'd have gotten nowhere. I mean, the luckiest part of my life to date has been the team I've gotten here in the Republic of Work, because it's not like, you know, if we were opening a hotel, you'd go out there and you'd say, hi, we're opening a hotel, we're looking to hire hotel people.
Yeah.
Like, I opened a co-working space and I went out and I said, hi, I'm looking to hire...
So you look to take a risk on you as well.
Yeah, because you know, you had people walking in the door, like people like Frank who walked in the door here and were kind of going, we don't actually know what this job is, we don't know how long this business is going to last, you know, we don't know anything. Like, and we've all kind of, I guess, collectively grown into what it means to actually have a co-working space in Cork.
And part of your, I suppose, first year in business, you ran a fantastic competition there recently called the Built in Cork, where obviously this is like, it's nearly a hub for startups at the moment, where people can find the correct advice and find nearly not even a foundation, a springboard to launch the business idea.
We've always, like, the funny thing about Cork is we've always had great entrepreneurs, and we've always had great, what I would kind of call under the surface networks, like that. If you needed a bit of help, the help was always there. The challenge was that, like, if you were an outsider, you know, it was kind of maybe hard to connect in and hard to find it. And like, I think in particular, one of the biggest problems we had here in Cork was that was actually kind of almost not your industry in particular, but in the kind of services space. Because, like, when you're getting started, the two things you want to make sure is you have is a damn good accountant and a damn good solicitor.
Yeah.
And of course, you know, there's a huge variation in the sort of work that, you know, a solicitor who's mainly dealing with established businesses is doing, and guys who are just getting started. And, like, we won't even go into the fact that the guys getting started very rarely have the money to pay for it. But, like, one of the big things was, you know, when you had a really great network in Cork, it meant that, you know, you could come and you could say, well, like, who are the guys who have great experience in dealing with startup stuff? And that's a huge
when you have a
change.
startup, like, when you're so involved in the day-to-day, you're stuck in the now. If you can just step back and get advice from an accountant, a solicitor, whoever it may be, they're future-proofing your business. So if your idea explodes and you need to take investors, that the structure of your business entity, whether it's a sole trader, limited company, whether you have the correct legal documentation behind it, so that if you have an investor, they go, this guy is correct. He means business. It looks professional. It is professional. I can trust this guy now to invest in him. Like, I
often get asked, like, you know, what are, you know, when you're getting started in business, what are the most important things? You love giving sexy answers, but the reality is, if I look the other way and if I look at the reasons that most businesses have failed, or, you know, as somebody who, when most startups, when it goes wrong, you know, instead of ringing 999, somehow my phone usually rings here in Cork. And 9 times out of 10, the problem is going to relate back to, it's going to relate to one of two issues. One is, you know, who are revenue and why are they trying to take all my money is one issue. And the other issue is coming back to something around legal formation. And 9 times out of 10, the problem, that's 9 times out of 10, is going to be something to do with assumptions. That there's going to be, you know, 2 or more people who've come together to start a business.
We'll be grand.
And we'll be grand. And we're best friends. And it'll all be great. And then, sure, like, they have a row over something. Or, in particular, but I suppose the strongest thing in particular is, where I've seen it is, we're lucky enough to have a great bunch of guys and ladies in Cork who are interested in financially supporting the younger generation of investor or of entrepreneur. But, like, they're not going to do it stupidly either. So, like, when they come to a company, they want to know, you know, all right, where's the paperwork? Who are the directors of the company? What is the shareholding? What happens, for instance? I mean, God forbid, it's the worst case scenario, but the one that always comes down is myself and Dave Sweeney own a business, and I'm out driving my imaginary Tesla one day and it explodes in a ball of flame.
Yeah.
And it turns out that, you know, you suddenly go, what happens now? And suddenly my family or my wife or my soon-to-be wife or whatever, now you're in business with them.
Yeah.
Because there was never any arrangements put in place that said you could buy back my shares or that this would be the arrangement.
Right.
And it's not about, like, when the one I remember in particular was actually the guys in Trustev, that in the early days they just spent, it wasn't a huge amount of time, but they spent a little bit of time making sure that the structures were right. Yeah. And as such, when the time came that you had these big companies looking at buying them, they were ready to be bought. It was easy. It was like there wasn't this thing where suddenly they had to go and pay a huge amount of money to get all this stuff tidied up, because that set off a very bad signal as well. What, you know, when people are looking to buy or invest in your company, if you don't have those basics right, they look at it as a bad indication of how you run your business. Kind of
like in the Built in Cork, the competition that just finished there, and there was over 30 1-minute video pitches, and that was whittled down to 3 people at the night, and they all made the pitch kind of like the Dragon's Den.
Yeah, very much that format.
I found watching it was that I don't know, maybe 60, 70, 80% of it was the actual person, the pitch.
Yeah.
That the idea, yes, they were all good ideas and business ideas, but who would you trust? Who would you actually invest more? And that's not taking away from the other people on that night, but certainly it's the actual person itself more than anything.
The worst, I mean, I don't know, it's the worst kept secret in business is like, I mean, the majority of good ideas are now gone, you know what I mean? Or, like, there isn't a day goes by where I don't have an idea for a business, right? But it all comes down to the person and the execution. You know, like, funny, I nearly started a solicitors firm there years ago, because I had gone to the States and I had met these bunch of solicitors who, like, when you met them, first of all, you thought they were fashion models. Like, they were at a big startup show, and you walked up to them and you were like, lads, what do you do? Oh, we're solicitors, these are the two partners, because they were wearing these funky t-shirts and all that. And you're looking at kind of going, Jesus, that'd be brilliant, like, that'd be brilliant in Ireland, now all the startups would go to them. But then you realise, like, but I'm not a fucking solicitor, I know nothing about running a solicitor's firm. And
don't do it anyway, my advice is don't do it.
But you see, that is that huge difference. And I mean,
you know your audience.
What we were trying to do with Built in Cork and with Get Started was to kind of, you know, we had a load of people who kind of obviously came to us and kind of said, oh, well, you know, I have a brilliant idea, but it's kind of secret. So I don't like this idea about having, and I'm kind of going, well, A, grand, you can enter the competition too, but B, like, it doesn't matter.
Well, for
you know,
with that, it's either going to work or it's not, but you can have confidentiality agreements, non-disclosure agreements, you can, if you want to protect yourself that well.
But in the end of the day, it all comes down to execution, and that's a big part. I genuinely think of that execution is it's about getting the right people around you, and that means both in terms of your staff, but also in terms of your advisors, because you'll talk to other entrepreneurs and they'll give you one version of the story. But like when you talk to an accountant or a solicitor who does a lot of work with startups, like, you're getting the benefit of their experience. Like, I had an experience once where when we were trying to get a license agreement for software done, and we used a particular firm who had no experience with software. And like, after about 18 weeks of paying fees, they still had no idea, but you were we had been basically paying for them to educate themselves, as opposed to, turns out then, like, I did the thing I should have done, which is my brother is a partner in a law firm in London. I rang him and I kind of said, look, what do we do? And he literally went, look, tell your solicitor to go onto that website there and download that agreement and just check it to make sure it's...
Was it Google?
It was one step off that, you know.
I know.
But I mean, at least, you know, Connor had a background in working in technology businesses, so he understood it. So I think, like, for me, it's all about putting that group of people, advisors, another, as I said, the oldest trick in the startup book is, you know, before you form your board of directors, you form a board of advisors. You know, you find a bunch of people who, if you've got gaps in your knowledge,
preparation is key.
You fit them in. You know.
So you're in business. You can even feel by coming into place, the energy is changing every week. There's more traction. We were at a seminar below this morning at like 135 people at it, or 120 people, whatever it was. What's the plan? What's the future so for public work? Where's it going?
So the metaphor I always use, it goes back to the hospitality days. We spent year 1 building the hotel and getting it open. Year 2 now is all about booking the weddings. And year 2 for us is getting very deep into the community side of things, because like we what we've worked out in year one is that like our competitive advantage over other shared office spaces, over people taking their own office space in a building somewhere, is the value that we can add beyond like you have a desk, you have a chair, you have Wi-Fi, and you've coffee all the time. So therefore, we need.
Part of that thing, getting the message out there is
because it's a big part of like the challenge I had in year one was that with a great marketing background, I didn't get a chance to actually do anything with it because you were dealing with the kind of physical building up and running. Whereas now, one of our big things is around doing far more. Like we did some great videos in year one. Yeah. Getting back into that space, getting back into our own online media podcasting and vlogs and all that.
Would you purely focus then on social media, Facebook, platforms like that, or is newspaper, radio?
Like my background because my background was mainly software marketing. The greatest thing about marketing online is that there's no lies, like because there's a number on everything. Yeah. The challenge I always find with traditional media is you put an ad on a bus, you kind of have no way of knowing what's going on. Yeah. Whereas you put an ad on Google or somewhere like that, you'll get a number, how many people looked at it, how many people clicked through it. Yeah. So that's why I think for small business marketing, I kind of think it's all about networking, and then it is all about online, because I think what you can get for your money is so much
Where's
better.
The attention now? It's everybody's phone.
The attention is there. And it's like one of my most frustrating things about it too, about the fact is people missing the fact. There was this buzzword years ago called mobile first, and everything was, if you were designing a website, it was mobile first. Like now it's mobile only. Yeah. Like now, when you go to your website design guy and he pulls out a laptop and he's showing you the website on a laptop, that's utterly pointless. Yeah. Nobody is looking at your website in that format, or I think it's something like 92
people
or 94%.
People on the couch and even on their phone.
And they're on their phone. So like I recently saw at one of our most fine dining establishments down in Douglas, KC's. I was on my way home one day, and would you believe it? I lived in Douglas for like 2 years now, and I hadn't been to KC's in 2 years. Okay. So I'd had a stressful day. Said I'd stop.
King Creole,
Yeah, and on the way out, I was going out to Douglas Road. I was in the passenger seat, and I said, "We'll have a look at the menu." And the menu, now they've actually, I looked the other day and they've actually changed it, fair play to them. Okay. But I looked and I went to see the menu, and the way they had put the menu onto the website, you couldn't see it on mobile. Yeah. And you were just, it's those sort of small things people don't know.
That business is so strong from word of mouth, and the community doesn't need to advertise.
All I wanted to do was know the menu so that I'd be standing in the queue,
I think I saw it on the top 5. It was in a poll last week in some restaurant, the top 5 in the country.
Oh, it's
so insane. I suppose there's a balance there somewhere.
There is, but it's, as I said, I think businesses they need to be aware of that if they're thinking about online, there's two things they need to think about. One is they just need to think about the fact that it is all about handheld devices and iPads and those mobile operating systems now. I think the big thing for me when it comes to digital marketing, and it's a point of frustration for me, is digital marketing is not Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram. That they're not strategies, they're tactics. That's like, as I said, that's like kind of saying, well, when you go into a courtroom, you know what I mean, you have the facts and the figures, and then you go, right now, how are we going to present this? I think what a lot of people do with businesses, they just go, we need to be on Facebook, we need to be on here, and they don't look and kind of go, what is it that we're trying to get? And the honest trick with marketing is a very simple one. Like, marketing is about delivering good sales leads to your sales process.
Consistently.
So what you do is you start with the end result you want, and you work back. And that way you end up working out where your audience are and how you're going to turn them into.
Engineer.
I think there's too much of this thing where we'll put content out there and we'll put stuff out there, and we'll kind of cross our fingers and hope that magic happens. Whereas, like, the great thing about marketing these days is marketing is far more of a science than the kind of art form it used to be. Like the Mad Men days are gone now. It's very like,
which means you can build it on results.
You can build it on results, and whoever's looking after marketing in your organization you now need to make sure that they have a calculator on their desk,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it's all about the numbers. Like.
Yeah, okay. Well, listen, DC, thank you very much for your time
Cheers,
today.
thanks, Dave.
If anyone wants to contact DC Republic Work, we put the details up on the screen. But happy birthday.
Thank you.
Congratulations on your engagement.
That's
best
it.
luck in your future
Busy
wedding and
year.
marriage. And yeah, thank you for your time today. Thank you.
Cheers.
Cheers. Thanks.